Hey everybody, what's up? Zuda coming to you once again. This little video is going to be another strategy video, strategy 106 I think we're on. And this video is going to be specifically talking about maps. Maps are something that I think are oftentimes overlooked, especially when it comes to strategy. I mean, a lot of times so far my videos have been like, strategy X should be done against Civ Y in all situations and blah 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 blah, and that's all well and good, and general strategy in those terms works out pretty well in most scenarios, but a lot of times knowing the map and knowing details about the map and knowing nuances of maps can oftentimes gain you just as much of an advantage as the actual gameplay itself, and I'll get into that in a little bit more detail in a little bit. But the way I want to start this video is by the way, if my train of thought seems a little like looped out sometimes, it's because it's like wow, it's almost 4 o'clock in the morning. Didn't realize it's almost 4 o'clock in the morning. This is what I do when I get bored in the middle of the night. I sit here in front of my computer and talk to YouTube. So yeah, if I seem a little tired, it's probably because I'm actually tired. But back to maps. Knowing the map and knowing some of the specifics of maps and knowing how to properly scout a map can really play just as much of an advantage to your hand than knowing how to execute strategy X against Civ Y. And so we'll take a look at that. But the most important thing, and one of the most important things, is being able to instantly recognize the map. So I went ahead and I went through the maps and I looked them all over closely. I just took a couple notes on some of my findings. A lot of this stuff I already knew, and probably a lot of people already do know, but everyone should know what this map is. This map is Arabia. This map always spawns, and when I say always, I mean always. It always spawns in the almost 3 o'clock position. I call it the almost 3 o'clock position because of the sword clock. 12, 6, 3, 9. It's almost 3 o'clock and the almost 6 o'clock position. So it's like just after 6 and almost 3. This is the only map that spawns in these two positions. So it's the almost 3 o'clock position and the almost 6 o'clock position. So being able to recognize the map instantly will help us a little bit further down the road in this video when we're going to talk about what we're scouting for and how we're going to go about scouting the map. So just first of all, bear with me and try and learn these positions on the map. So almost 3, just after 6. The next map in the map pool, going alphabetically, is the map Bandit Canyon. And the map Bandit Canyon is in the 8-2 position, where the player here, player 1 is always in the 8 o'clock position, and the other player is always in the 2 o'clock position. The positions are slightly closer than they are on, say, Arabia. On Arabia, you're stretched out a little bit farther, like here and here. You're slightly closer. But this is the only map, once again, this is the only map that ever starts in the 8-2 position. So just like Arabia was always in the almost 6, almost 3 position, here and here, Bandit Canyon is the only map that ever starts in the 2-8 position. Moving on to the next map, we have Black Forest. Black Forest is what I would call a random grab bag. Black Forest can start in any position on any map, and so the only way that you can actually scout Black Forest is by just scouting. And it's pretty easy to tell if it's Black Forest. I mean, look around one side, is there trees? Yep. Go to the left, is there trees? Yep. Go down, is there trees? Yep. Odds are it's probably Black Forest, so that one's pretty easy to scout, but you can't actually tell by the starting position which map is Black Forest. Next map up is another random grab bag, Big Island. You always start in a different spot. You never know what size the island's going to be, what shape the island's going to be. It's in a general, I mean, it's like a circle, but you never know where you're going to be on the island. Sometimes you can be further inland, so once again, another random grab bag. But there are only 3 of these maps that are random grab bags, so if you can learn all the other ones, it kind of narrows down what you actually have to scout for down to 3. So, and one of them's Black Forest, so it's like, hey, there's trees all around me, yay. Next map is this map, the infamous Coastal. There's 2 ways to know that, well, there's actually 3 ways to know you're in Coastal. The first way is Coastals always start in the 12 and 6 position. There's another map that starts in the 12 and 6 position, Equal Footing, but we'll get to that map in a little bit. The second way you can scout Equal Footing is, or not Equal Footing, Coastal, is these back trees here. In Equal Footing, the difference between Equal Footing and Coastal, in the back of the tree, the back tree line in Coastal, there's always this back tree line, and it's always really patchy. You can see on both players there's this back tree line, and it's really patchy. So if you're in the 12-6, if you just go a little down, you'll always be able to scout this back tree line and know that you're on Coastal. And the third way, of course, is there's a big freaking pond of water in the middle. That's a fairly obvious one. The next map is Equal Footing. Equal Footing is, once again, in the 12 and 6 o'clock positions. You can notice how these trees aren't always in the back here, but when they are, they're always filled in. So when you get a map like this where in the 12 and 6 o'clock position, it's easy just to, what I usually do is I just swing around the back and see what my tree line looks like, and then you can tell whether or not it's Coastal or Equal Footing. Next map is the last random grab bag, is Oasis. Oasis can always be a random grab bag. You never know what position you're going to be in. You can be in any position on the clock. It's just completely random. And then there is 2 maps left. One map is Sheltered Pass. Sheltered Pass always starts in the 10-4 position. 1 player's in the 10 o'clock position. 1 player's in the 4 o'clock position. It's the only map that is consistently always in the 10-4 position. So if you're in either the 10 or the 4 position, odds are you're on Sheltered Pass. The last map that's in the map pool is Treasure Island, and Treasure Island always starts in the 8 o'clock, 1 o'clock position. It's the only map that starts in these 2 consistent positions, and is the only time that you'll ever be in these 2 positions. So, now that being said, we're gonna play a little game. Game time, yay! Do I really have all these open? All these are open. Close, close, close. Okay, so now we're gonna play a game. We're gonna play a game. Can I pause this? Pause, yeah, pause. Alright, so I kind of just went in the order of what they're gonna be, but this will be a good test to see if you're paying attention. So it's like playing Who's That Pokemon. Remember, like back when we were kids, like really little, and would come home from school and we'd watch Pokemon, and it'd be like, after the first 15 minutes, it'd be like, who's that Pokemon? It's Pikachu, and we'd all like scream along. We can do that here too. So we'll play like Who's That Map. So Who's That Map? Yay! It's Arabia. So you can see, I mean, you can tell just by the position you're in. You start right up here. You go, what position am I in? I'm in the almost 3 o'clock position, so you immediately know, without looking anywhere at the map, boom, you're on Arabia. Next map, you look around. Are you in the 12 or 6? Are you in the 12-6 position? Nope. So that rules out a couple maps. Are you in the 10-4 position? Nope. So where are you? You're on Bandit Canyon, because you are in the 8-2 position. Which map is this? Take a minute, study it, go through the checklist that was described earlier on. You're not in the 12 and 6. Yeah, you're not in any of the positions. You could potentially be in Sheltered Pass, but you can immediately tell that you're not in Sheltered Pass because you have a big ring of trees down here. So remember, if you're ever in doubt, especially when it's Black Forest, you just like look around, and if there's massive amounts of trees, you pretty much know which map you're on. This map, go through the checklist once again. There's one map it could potentially be. It could potentially be Treasure Island, because you're up in this position. You're in like the 1, almost 2 o'clock position. The other guy could be right here. But it's, once again, that grab bag, that's Big Island. So the ones that are the grab bag, those are the hardest ones by far to know and to learn. But they're also at the same time the easiest ones to scout. Like, one's always got water on the outside, and one's always got a big bunch of trees in the middle. So I mean, it's kind of whatever. This one is pretty easy. You know you're in the 12 o'clock position, 12-6 position. So what could it be? It's probably either coastal or equal footing. And by scouting the trees, you would know that it is coastal. And then once again, you're in the 12 and 6 position. So you know that you're on equal footing. And then you're over in the, the 10-4 position, right? So that probably means we're on... Nope, you're wrong. It's not Sheltered Pass, it's Oasis. Because Oasis is random, so even that one threw me for a loop. I could have swore it was going to be Sheltered Pass, but it's not. So once again, some of these, yeah, you have to scout, but you can get the general idea for a lot of them just by looking at the map immediately around you. I mean, so the way that you would scout this is you'd like run up here and you'd see there's not a big cliff here, and then you would immediately know that it's, well, it could be Black Forest except there's not a lot of trees, or it could be Big Island except there's not a lot of water, so then you would know it's Oasis. And here you're in the actual 10-4 position once again, so you know it's Sheltered Pass. And then you're in the 8 o'clock position, which means that you're on Treasure Island. So these maps here, good to know. The positions are back to Arabia. But what I really want to go through, and what the actual focus of this video is going to be scouting the map and knowing how to scout the map and where to scout the map and what you're exactly scouting for. So let's start with Arabia again. So now that we've gone through all the maps and we kind of know like what they look like, let's zoom in on the mini map a little bit. So here's Arabia. You can see on Arabia you've always got this front little cliff on both sides. You've always got ample amounts of berries on your cliff. You can see both sides always got a lot of berries. But neither side usually has a very good first hunt. Your first hunt is usually like pretty dang far away. So the odds of you going hunts or starting hunts on this map are pretty slim to none. I would say actually when I see the Arabia opening, I almost always just immediately drop on berries because it's just far safer and far easier than risking these hunts. If you can get a really close hunt and you can immediately scout that hunt, you can do it. But in general, I tend to just drop on berries immediately on Arabia. So what should you be scouting for your opponent on Arabia? Well, the first thing you immediately notice is you have your first gold mine, but your second gold mine on Arabia is almost always pretty bad. So, like, for example, here, second gold mine for red is here, second gold mine for blue is here. So when you're scouting Arabia, you always want to pinpoint what's their second gold, because their second gold is almost always going to be quite bad, and that is going to be, if you're able to contain them and able to draw the game out, the spot that they're probably going to be the weakest on, because you really do need gold to make every single unit in the game. And so actually the theme for a lot of this, and what you're going to see the theme for a lot of this is going to be, is narrowing down where the second gold mine is. And there's some maps where it differs a little bit, but in general, if you know where the second gold mine is for a lot of players, that's going to help you immensely. So you can see there's the second gold. Knowing where the second gold is going to help you out in a lot of matchups. So I would say the key for Arabia is knowing where the second gold is. Next map, Bandit Canyon. Zoom in on the minimap a little bit again. There was two things that I wrote down for Bandit Canyon. Bandit Canyon, once again, has pretty notoriously bad food. You've always got your berries, which I almost always immediately drop on. And then you've got sometimes food off to the sides and behind your base. If you're lucky, you'll get like a hunt right back here. If you're not lucky, it'll be like way out here. It'll be your like first hunt. Sometimes second gold, but mainly find the second food. Find their first like out of base food, because I mean you're not going to go on farms. If they go on farms immediately, you've pretty much won the game. So if you can pinpoint where their second food and where they're likely to gather food, that's going to be their first weak spot that you can hit. Another weak spot on this map that tends to be pretty easy to hit is abusable wood lines. You can see how red's position here. Their wood line out front is much better than their wood line in the back. Odds are very high that they're going to build on this wood line out front. If you've got all of this scouted, odds are pretty high they're going to build on this wood line out front. What that means is this is going to be really easy to abuse. You can stand archers down on the bottom of this base, and you can hit their wood line and deny their wood line from the bottom here without their units actually being able to actually get to you, without running all the way out their base and all the way down and around. So on this map, two things to look for: second food and abusable wood lines. Are you able to stand down here and hit with archers? For example, on blue's situation here, odds are I'm probably going to build back here. So I would say this is probably not an abusable location, but this right here, definitely abusable location. So for Bandit Canyon, food locations and abusable wood lines. Black Forest, zooming in. Black Forest, I have a couple things written down. The first thing that I have written down is hidden pockets. Oftentimes, Black Forest will have like these neat little pockets that are untouchable, and sometimes this is a pretty mild case. This has got like a little pocket of food back here. You can see how red's got no pockets. They're like, actually they're pretty resource starved. They've got like no food in their base. They've got like their first hunt out here and like their second gold like way out here, whereas blue's got like a hunt here and a hunt here, but he's also got this really nifty hunt way back here that's pretty much untouchable. It's basically unraidable. If he sets up any sort of a defense line through here, this is pretty much untouchable, and he can't be really raided back here. So the first thing you want to scout for when you're scouting on Black Forest is you really want to scout these little pockets and know what's back in these little pockets. I've seen things as crazy as like a gold mine, a stone mine, and a hunt with two borers like back in a pocket like this. Actually leads to pretty big map imbalance, whereas sometimes you have just no pockets whatsoever. So you really need to find out if they have those pockets, and if they have a pocket, you need to know what's in that pocket. For example, if they have a gold mine, you need to know if there's a gold mine back in that pocket. Otherwise, it's just knowing where their second gold mine is, once again, on this map is really important. Next map, going in order once again, Big Island. Because it's a water map, one of the most important things to naturally scout for is their fish locations and their dock. You can see red here has got pretty bad fish locations. They've got like one here and one here, but honestly it's pretty bad. Blue's got better fish. They've got a fish here and some fish out here. Red's pretty screwed on fish though here. Blue's is much better, and so you definitely want to see whether or not they're going fishing on maps like this. I wouldn't say fishing is always a given on this map, but more people tend to fish on this map than don't, I think. But for example, if red fished here, he could be up a creek without a paddle in a big hurry, because he's got pretty poor fishing. And then once again, I'll mention it again, I've said it many times already in this video, second gold mine. Where's the second gold mine? Second gold mine for red, second gold mine for blue is way out here. right? This is Blue's base. This is his first gold mine, the one that's off and to the left of his DC. That's his first gold mine. His second gold mine isn't until way out here. So that's one thing that Red in this position would definitely want to take note of. Blue's second gold mine is either right here or all the way on my side of the map. This is actually pretty imbalanced for Red when you take a look at gold mines. So once again, fishing, second gold mine. I've said it a lot of times, I'm going to say it again, second gold mine. Knowing where the second gold mine is will win you a lot of maps just by being able to deny a second gold mine and knowing how to raid and when to raid a second gold mine. Coastal. I think everyone knows kind of at this point that the key to winning coastal is winning water. And the reason why that is you can see these little alleyways that are formed by the trees so often. So this is a pretty mild case, but sometimes it can be pretty severe. Like sometimes there will be trees all the way through here. For example, this second little alleyway will not exist, and the only way to get through on coastal can be like in a little path like this. You can park a trireme right here and completely deny anyone from getting through here. So scouting on coastal is you want to scout their dock, know when their dock is coming, and you want to know what terrain is abusable. One other thing that I wrote down that you really kind of want to know about coastal is where's their wood line. For example, this wood line back here is very rarely usable, but these little side wood lines oftentimes are, but you can also see these wood lines are kind of exposed. So knowing which wood line they're on early gives you kind of a point of attack when you do shift to land-based armies. Moving along, moving right along. 8Q, the best map in the world. Honestly, scouting equal footing, really hard. I mean, there's not a lot to scout. You've almost always got a second gold mine. It's usually behind your base. There's usually tons of hunt. Just kind of gotta scout and go on the fly. It's a pretty balanced map though in general. It's a good map. Oasis. Oasis, on the other hand. This map, once again, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Second gold mine. Knowing where the second gold mines are for each player is huge in this map. This map, you can see, it's got kind of cliff blocking the second gold mine potentially for blue. So knowing where his hunt, his food, and his second gold mine are, almost all the resources are always out front on Oasis, so knowing where their second gold mine specifically is will help you keep a track on where he's gathering. And we've got 2 left. Sheltered Pass. Sheltered Pass has interesting little nuances to it as well. They've got like some of these little pockets here. These little pockets here can oftentimes hold goodies that are really easy to defend. For example, here's a gold mine and here's a gold mine. For both players, these 2 locations are very easy to defend. The only way that this is really accessible to blue is if he like comes like around here, and even then, like as long as red's like camping in this location, which is pretty easy to do, this is pretty much defended. For example, for blue as well, right outside of his gold mine, if you look here, is this entrance that leads to this little here. I mean, that's pretty much on top of his town center. As long as he's standing in that location, he's pretty much denying the ability to get back in here. So this is a really easy to defend area, so you really want to know if they have pocket gold. I call this pocket gold back behind this little cliff. Sometimes there's also deer back there. Knowing which resources are back in these pockets will oftentimes let you know when you can be aggressive, because knowing when they're going to run out of gold is a pretty important thing. And Treasure Island. This map is pretty fair in general. The hunts are usually off to the sides on this map, which makes for somewhat decent early harass if you can get there. And then once again, knowing whether or not they're on gold and whether or not they're on sea. This map can be kind of imbalanced on the sea, so make sure you scout it, make sure you know whether or not they're actually doing it. and then get a read on second gold. So I've said it about 600 times this game. Oops, I've got a billion maps open again. No, just kidding, only 3. I've said it about a billion times this video. I'm gonna say it one more time. Knowing where their second gold mine is pretty dang important. I'm gonna say it one more time just in case you didn't catch it. Knowing where their second gold mine is pretty important. It wins games. So honestly, like, if you're scouting one thing, if you take away one thing from this video, only one thing, if you take one thing and only one thing away from this video, it's not for like 422, so I'm probably like slightly delirious, but if you take one thing away from this video, one thing, only one, scout the second gold mine, because that is the most easy thing to abuse in this game by far, is the second gold mine. If you have a read on their second gold mine and you know where their second gold mine is and when they're going to transition to their second gold mine, that is the easiest way to stop their troops from building up and to build an advantage for yourself on the resource line. Wood is moderately difficult to deny. Food can be so-so. Usually people get their first berries because it's pretty hard to apply like really early pressure. So almost everyone gets like their first hunt or two, and then you have berries kind of like in your base for quite a while. But that second gold mine is by far one of the most important things to get a read on. Knowing when the second gold mine expires, or when the first gold mine expires and when they're going to be forced to move on to their second gold mine, super important. Water's good. So, yeah. Maybe I should name this like Strategy 106, knowing gold mine positions or something like that, but I think I've ranted enough. I think you get the picture. I won't be streaming or doing YouTube for a couple days because I'm going home. My home internet connection's like really bad. Like, it's like Stone Ages bad. Like, we still like hire a hamster to come and run around and turn a little wheel to like give us electricity out where I'm from, so hopefully the hamster's not on summer vacation too. But no YouTube, no stream for a couple days. I'll be back in full force then, like starting next Sunday, doing my thing again. So until then, enjoy.